I got a problem with Bill O'Reilly. He's got a problem with me. I also got a problem with the NCAA brackets. They weren't kind to me. George Foreman was kind to us all. We pay tribute to one of the great fighters in history. All that and more coming up right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. As always, I'd like to take a moment to thank and pay gratitude to my subscribers and followers over the airways of iHeartRadio. We've had millions of downloads over the last few months. And, of course, courtesy of YouTube, our subscribers have now eclipsed 1.15 million. Can't thank y'all for the love and support enough. Keep it coming. And I'm going to keep on coming. To get notified for all of our newest content, just click the bell to be notified for the Stephen A. Smith Show's newest content. And you, too, shall be the latest member of the family. And while you're doing that, please make sure to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, now in paperback. Just go to straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Once again, that's straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Let's get started right out the gate, y'all, with my first guest. He's a political commentator. Doesn't call himself conservative. He says he's independent. On television and radio, he's a personality there as well. He's an author who is probably best known as host of his former show, The O'Reilly Factor, on Fox News Channel. You can catch him every weeknight at 6 p.m. Eastern on the No Spin News. Please welcome the man himself, the one and only, Bill O'Reilly. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I'm the same, which is tragic for everyone. But consistency, there is something to be said for it.
How would you describe yourself? Let me just start out there, right, Bill. When you say I'm the same, much to the chagrin of everyone, what would you describe yourself as being, Bill O'Reilly?
Independent thinker, bloviator, provocateur at times.
Okay.
Judgmental.
Okay.
And very Irish American.
You do know that when you say you're an independent, a lot of people say, you know what, Stephen A., when you going to ask that man when the last time he voted for a Democrat? Because they can't see you vote for a Democrat. When you say you're an independent, I like you said the independent thinker, but usually you just say independent. And what I'm saying is that, you know what, he says he's an independent. I'm going to believe him. I call myself an independent. Let's not throw skepticism this man's way. But could you see yourself voting for a Democrat? Have you voted for a Democrat in recent memory, Bill O'Reilly?
I voted for Swazi in November. The congressman in the 3rd district. He's a Democrat, and I know him well. I think he's an honest man. So I voted for him because the Republican didn't really advance anything in my eyes that overrode what I know about Swazi. Look, the people who try to pigeonhole me don't know anything about me. They don't know how I analyze the news. They don't understand my philosophy because they believe what they want to believe. And I'm used to it, but
let me interject. Let me interject. I get the part about they want to believe what they want to believe, but you can't say they don't really know you. I mean, Bill, you've been on the air for how many years? How many decades? We know you a little bit now. 50 years. So how they don't know you, Bill?
But it's a segmented audience. We had an enormous audience, and we do today. Millions and millions of people every day watch me in some capacity, and at Fox, record numbers, 16 years consecutive #1. But the audience that will devote time to listening to me is primarily traditional, not conservative. The far right, they don't like me at all. They attack me all the time. But it's a traditional audience because they know where I'm coming from. The liberal audience, we had about, because we did analytics when I was at Fox, it was 60% traditional, 20% non-aligned, and 20% liberal that would watch us on a daily basis. Now it's 95% conservative traditional at Fox. They've lost that. So we know that most liberals, they don't want to listen to O'Reilly and they believe what they want to believe. But here's a good and interesting point for you. When I do shows like Jon Stewart, there's an enormous audience on the left for those shows, and they don't come out of it hating me. In fact, my last appearance on David Letterman, I got a standing O for Letterman, who did his best to try to make me look foolish. A standing O, it shocked him. So I think that I have a broader appeal, but I agree with you that a lot of people think that I'm some kind of conservative ideologue.
Who dislikes you more, the left or the extreme left or the extreme right?
No, the left, for sure.
Okay.
Because I have very little tolerance for the woke people. The extreme right is much narrower. It's a much more narrow crew than the left. The left has really made inroads in this country, and they control the Democratic Party, the far left does at this point, whereas the right has not done that. You know, Donald Trump's not an ideologue. He couldn't give you any kind of verse about the Republican Party or ideology. He's more of a deal maker, but his audience is MAGA. And so he plays to that audience.
You know, when we think about, this Sunday, Westbury, New York, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have the Three Americans Live event, myself, you, and the one and only Chris Cuomo. You see the promo right there. Yes, I have been promoting it every single day, every single show, Bill O'Reilly, as I've been instructed by someone who will remain nameless, but is sitting right in front of me. The point that I'm saying, Bill, is this. When we see this event coming up, what do you believe? And what would you articulate to the audience that we're going to give them that they haven't seen before?
Excellent question. So I did this as an experiment to see if we could meld 3 different audiences into one enjoyable afternoon. And I'm not sure whether we're going to succeed or not. We'll succeed as far as capacity in the theater. We sold a lot of tickets. But will the audiences get along? Will there be an equal amount of different thinkers? I don't know. But I did it because I am tired of the choir. One of the reasons that you are successful both in sports and now you're making a move into policy is because people don't know what you're going to say. And you say it with passion. And so that unpredictability about Stephen A. Smith attracts an audience. Same thing with me. Cuomo a little bit more doctrinaire left, although he's changed a little bit. When you say the one and only Chris Cuomo, I almost applauded. We really don't need another one. But he's there, and we are going to listen to what he has to say. But I want to show the country, and we're going to shoot this, by the way, for TV. I'm not going to run it. It's more of a pilot situation, but you have to come see us if you want to see what we do. But I'm hoping that we can meld this so that everybody has a good time. Even if you disagree or you are a different mindset than the person sitting next to you in the theater, that you all come out and have a good time and learn something, because I'm going to bring it. As I always do. So it is a very interesting experiment, because if you watch television now, it's all choir. It's all right wing, left wing, they're horrible, whatever we do is great, and that's boring to me. And I don't like that. I like robust debate. I like hearing different points of view.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give you credit for that, because a lot of people would look at you and they'd see you hosting on Fox News years ago. They'll see you hosting your show now, and they wouldn't get that impression. And they look at me, and you'll come to me like you did last week, get out your phone or your notebook and take these notes down. And you brought up the Yalta conference and all of this other stuff. Yes, I've been reading up on it, Bill, by the way. I've been reading up on it. And you have people that had an attitude, and I said, whoa, I like Bill O'Reilly. I know that might shock you, but I like him. You know, I think he likes me, and we like going at each other in our own way. I know that I don't know as much as that man. Humble yourself. The man been covering politics for 50 years. I'm just getting started. I think he would have a head start. Get over it, for crying out loud. But the world that we live in, I think one of the reasons you came up with this idea is because you are lamenting the fact that we can't have reasonable, sensible, and respectful discourse. And you believe that's something that will transpire this weekend. To that, you say what?
I don't want tribalism in this country. Tribalism is a weakness, not a strength. I don't like the tribes. So about 10 years ago, I went to a concert, the Isley Brothers and Frankie Mays and Time, all black audience at Jones Beach, okay?
Yep.
I walk in, I'm the only white guy in a place, except for the security guards.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
My date goes, she's looking at me. She goes, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" I said, "This is going to be great." So I was sitting right down front. And so I walked down to the seats. Everybody sees me. It's an outdoor venue. And half the crowd knew it was me. And I'm waving. Everybody's waving at me. And everybody want pictures with me. And that's the America that I like. Now, they don't agree. I'm sure that most people at the concert, particularly Ronald Isley, don't agree with my point of view about life, but it was good natured. And that's what I want to get back to. And that's why I'm doing this show. It's my production company, as you know, and I hope we're treating you well.
You are.
And I'm going to try to market this into something bigger. I don't know whether I'll be able to succeed.
No, you'll probably succeed because you got me. You got me. We ain't losing, Bill. We ain't trying to lose. It's just the way that it is. Let me get to some issues that I have to broach with you right now. I want to get right into the headlines surrounding Donald Trump and this new administration featuring Elon Musk. Last week, Steve Bannon was on Cuomo on News Nation and said that Trump will run again in 2028 and win. When pressed by Cuomo that Trump is termed out, Bannon said the team is developing ways to elect Trump a third time. You wrote it off. I did not take kindly to that, Bill O'Reilly. I want you to explain yourself as to why you wrote it off, man.
Because in the Constitution, it says you can't do it. What is Bannon going to do? Have a vote at 2/3 of the states to overturn the constitutional amendment? Look at the map. You're not going to get 2/3 of the states to do that. It's ridiculous. It's what they always do. All right? You have to understand, if you read The United States of Trump, which is by far the best book ever written about Donald Trump by me, your humble correspondent, it's all about provocation. It's all about putting your opposition off balance, getting them annoyed, getting them emotional. And that's what these MAGA people do. Bannon knows there's no way that Donald Trump's going to run for a third term. Trump knows it. Everybody knows. But they just throw the hand grenade out, hoping that some nitwit on CNN will get upset and rant and rave. This is a hobby for them. They enjoy this. Okay?
But what does it do for them?
It's
Could
like
you
a
speak to
heckler
that?
in
Like,
the
for example,
dugout.
if somebody on
Okay?
CNN or MSNBC goes off, and they provoke somebody to do that, what is the fallout from it in the eyes of a Trump, a Bannon, etc.?
There isn't any. Those people aren't going to vote for him anyway. So they don't have any downside to it. It's like a heckler in the dugout or on the bench in a basketball game or football game. You try to throw your opposition off balance. You try to confuse them by throwing in all of this stuff and calling them names or whatever you do. And that's what the current administration does. They throw out all of this stuff. About 20% of it is real, and the other 80% is what they call hyperbole. And so Trump will go, "Oh, Joe Biden's the worst president of all time," and everybody go, "Yay!" Well, he's not. He's the second worst. All right? Nobody is worse than James Buchanan. But Trump doesn't care. He's going for the headline.
I don't think he's just going for the headlines. I think it's the old bait and switch. coax them or provoke them into saying and doing something stupid that resembles the rhetoric during the campaign, and as a result, you're able to point to them being crazy, et cetera, and that's why you need to vote for me, because you can't trust the liberals. I think that's what he's doing. But let me get to my next question, because I'm still on President Trump's administration. This time it's about featuring Elon Musk, the world's richest man, as a chief advisor. Musk has been given unprecedented access that no other private citizen has ever received. Why should we, as the American people, be okay with this, Bill O'Reilly?
You don't have to be okay with it. I'm not telling any American you should be happy with Elon Musk there, because I don't know. So last Monday, St. Patrick's Day, I was in a cabinet meeting in the White House. I was invited there by the president, who occasionally asks for my presence, because he knows that a lot of people will only tell him what he wants to hear. And I, knowing him 35 years, will tell him what I think and try to back it up. And he likes that. So I'm there, and sitting right next to me is Elon Musk, who I met one time before in Hollywood and didn't talk to him. I just said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he said, "Blah, blah, blah." I had a 20-minute conversation with him. And my son witnessed it, because my son was on my left flank.
Okay.
And in the conversation, he asked me about what he might improve on in his presentation. And I told him my opinion, but I've been in the TV business 50 years. I know how to present.
Right.
He listened, and that was it. Now, I'm neutral on Elon Musk. So I am bullish on wasteful spending and getting rid of it, but I don't want people to get hurt unnecessarily. So I want a very deliberate, methodical machine to downsize the federal government. I admire Musk's success. Everybody should. He brought those astronauts down, and the media didn't give him nearly as much credit. That was a brilliant, brilliant operation to get those 2 astronauts down. And Musk was behind that. So I admire his success, but I'm neutral on him because I don't really know him very well. And I think that's a fair way to play it at this point.
I'm looking at Trump right now with Musk, and I'm seeing suggestions about obviously cutting waste, fraud, etc. And I remember a friend of mine sent me a video, because he's a Republican, and he was saying, "Stephen A., before you want to sit up there and excoriate Trump and Musk and what they're doing," he sent me videos of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer back in 2012, I remember correctly. I think it's 2010, and then it was again in 2012, literally using the same words: fraud, waste, etc. We're going to have to cut Medicare. This is what they were saying at the time. So again, once again, we point to some hypocrisy. Considering that reality, as you look at Trump and how he's marched forward, how would you judge his first few months in the White House, in his return to the White House? It's one thing to talk about doing stuff. It's another thing to actually look at what he's doing. As the man who's known him for 35 years, how would you label the job that he has done thus far? Critique the job that he has done thus far, the positives and the negatives.
Well, you have to break it out. You can't just do one uniform. So on the border, A+. All right? Knocked out the open border in record time. 94% intrusions, less than Biden had. That is an incredible achievement. Incredible. As far as the migrants inside the United States, I just talked to Tom Homan. I have a pretty good idea on what the strategy is going forward, and I'm supportive of it. You have to get the dubious people out. And if a criminal alien is dating an alien that doesn't have a criminal record, they both go. The Homeland Security is not going to delineate at that level. So I'm with him. On the economy, the tariff thing was too much, too soon. And it shook the market. Now, I think the market is going to come back, but I don't know. And that was not a good thing for the Trump administration, because people get nervous when you see that kind of a drop that fast. And I don't know why he had to do all the tariffs at once. You could just piece it out a little bit. I don't think she'd be invading Canada or Greenland or Panama. I think when you can get what you want without rattling their cage to that extent, but it's the same thing. Rattle them up, keep them off balance, and it'll be easier to get what we want. So Trump is trying to get better economic deals. He wants more companies to move back to the United States. That seems to be happening. With Putin, I'm optimistic that there is going to be a ceasefire, but Putin will drag it out as long as he can. But I'll tell you this, and I know this to be true, and this is the most important thing we'll probably have on a Stephen A. Smith podcast tonight. If Putin makes Trump look bad, Trump will hurt him.
How?
Putin knows that.
How?
He'll shut down all the banking to Moscow.
Wow.
They'll sanction any bank that does business with Russia. And that'll be it for Putin. All the oligarchs will turn on him, military will turn on him. The only reason Putin's in power is because he buys the military and the very, very wealthy criminals who run Russia. You shut off their banking, nobody wants the ruble. They can't get dollars, it's over for Putin.
Bill O'Reilly, give me 1 second. I got to pause you right there because I got some bills to pay, okay? Be right back with the one and only Bill O'Reilly right after this word from Prize Picks. All right, everybody, listen up. With all the big-time sports action that's happening each and every day, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you are taking advantage of it all. That's why we've partnered with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching sports. The app is really easy to use. To make a lineup, all you have to do is pick more or less on a few player stats. Choose from any of your favorite players, Luka Doncic, Jimmy Butler, and Zach LaVine, all in the same entry. Then sit back and watch. The list is absolutely endless. You can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Best of all, Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50. Just use promo code SAS and download Prize Picks right now. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Getting back to Elon Musk, some of the waste, fraud, etc., Department of Education, what Trump's won in terms of its eradication. Your thoughts about federal employees losing their jobs? I mean, these are real lives that are being affected. People bring that up a lot of times when folks on the right get critiqued. The belief is they don't care enough about the working class, but the left does, even though we now know that the left has lost the working class and Donald Trump won an election because the working class had more faith in him than they did in the left. Your thoughts about the Trump administration and their position on that, federal jobs, people losing their jobs right now in terms of cutting costs?
I mean, look, I'm very sympathetic to anybody who's honest and making a living and trying to improve the nation. Some people are going to get let go that shouldn't get let go. And I am calling for the Trump administration to be as precise in its cuts as it can be. There's a lot of waste. There's a lot of people not doing what they should do. The federal government has to be downsized. It has to be. You can't carry a $36 trillion debt. I mean, we're going to run out of money in July, according to Federal Reserve. And I mean, that you think the stock market's wobbly now? If the United States starts to default on its debt, can't pay its interest on the savings bonds, you're looking at a depression situation here. So you've got to downsize it. And when any downsizing, good people are going to lose their jobs. But the good news is there are plenty of jobs in the private sector. Plenty of jobs. You can make a good living in this country if you're honest and then work hard and have skills. It's not like you're going into the desert. You're not. There's opportunity.
Bill, at this point
you got to be fair as you can about it.
At this point in your life, and I'm not talking about you in terms of how you're living. I'm talking about your knowledge of how Americans can and should live from your prism. When we think about a $36 trillion debt, when we think about the state and the plight of this country, particularly on those terms, who's more culpable? Is neither party, is one party significantly more culpable than the other, or is it a combination of them all? I think about a $37 trillion debt. I'm saying, wait a minute. Reagan was in office. H.W. had a term. Reagan had 2 terms. W had 2 terms. Trump's now back for a second time. I understand Obama and Clinton was in the mix. They interrupted the proceedings per se, but you had both parties up in there. When you think about our $37 trillion debt, who's most culpable for that, Bill O'Reilly?
All of them. I mean, vote buying is just a scandal. We'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, we'll give you this. You can't. You don't have the money. This is a capitalistic nation. This isn't Sweden. Okay? We don't do cradle to grave entitlements here. The Democratic Party wants that kind of a system. That's why Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez are on the tour now to convince Americans to do socialism, that we'll take care of you. Okay? We'll spend on you and we'll take the money from O'Reilly and Stephen A. Smith and we'll give it to you. That's what they do. But the Republicans, they have no interest in cutting anything. None. Because it's too hard then. They go, yeah, we'll give it to it. We'll give it to them. We'll do this. We'll do that. Look how much money the Pentagon wastes. I mean, it's ridiculous how much money they waste. They don't discipline their buys. They don't supervise their builds. They waste money because it's an endless spigot. It's not like you're running a household budget. All right, oh yeah, we need more money. Come on, they'll give us more money. It's called pork, P-O-R-K. And the main job of the Congress people and senators is to bring the pork home to the state. And that's got to be revised. We just running out of money.
Bill, if politicians who are not known to be business folks, who aren't considered individuals that pride themselves on making deals, have been excessive with the use and the exploitation of pork, why in God's name should anybody believe that Trump is going to be a better option than those individuals who preceded him that contributed to the deficit?
But he's doing it. That's why he brought Musk in. He's doing it. He's going, we're going to wipe out a lot of the unnecessary spending. He's doing it. He didn't do it in the first term because COVID wrecked everything. They had to pay, the federal government had to pay so much money to these pharmaceutical companies to get these vaccines that it just blew everything up. But now he's doing it. Now, I don't know whether he can get through the swamp. I think he's going to make an improvements on that. He's got to go into the Pentagon, has to. And I believe that'll be coming. But we do need to compete with China's military. We got to build more ships. That's going to cost a lot of money. But there are ways to do it. You have to want to do it. And in the past, 90% of American politicians in both parties don't want to supervise spending. It's the last thing on their mind, Stephen A. It's boring. It's numbers on a sheet. They don't want to do it.
Hold on right there, Bill O'Reilly. Just give me 1 minute. Got some bills to pay. Be right back with the one and only Bill O'Reilly in a second. This message is brought to you by Cologuard, a non-invasive colon cancer screening test. So I want to talk about colon cancer screening for a second here. I know you might hear that and instantly feel a bunch of dread. You're thinking stuff like drinking all of that prep liquid, having an invasive procedure, missing work. No thanks. But hold on a second, because there's another option that allows you to skip all that drama, the Cologuard test. It's a one-of-a-kind way to feel more in control of your colon cancer screening through a prescription-based test with none of the prep that's required of a colonoscopy. The Cologuard test is the only FDA-approved, non-invasive option that looks for both altered DNA and blood in your stool, which can indicate the presence of abnormal cells. This test offers convenience and ease of use, and it's delivered right to your door. It's also affordable. Most insured patients pay $0. At this point, come on, don't let your health take a backseat. You're out of excuses. So if you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a Cologuard prescription today at Cologuard.com/podcast. The Cologuard test is intended to screen adults 45 and older at average risk for colorectal cancer. Do not use a Cologuard test if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease, and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colorectal cancer. The Cologuard test is not a replacement for colonoscopies in high-risk patients. Cologuard test performance in adults ages 45 to 49 is estimated based on a large clinical study of patients 50 and older. False positives and false negatives can occur. Cologuard is available by prescription only. Last two questions before I let you get on out of here, and thank you for your time. Number one, do you give AOC and Bernie Sanders any snowball's chance in hell of resonating with the vast majority of American citizens? Once before the election, I would tell you hell no, but these things could be a bit cyclical. They could be a bit mobile, and if you're disgusted with Trump and Musk or whatever, who knows? What chance do you give them for resonating as faces for the left in the next couple of years moving forward, particularly before the midterms?
Well, Sanders is 83, so he's not going to do anything. Ocasio-Cortez is a socialist hardcore, maybe a communist. If you hear anybody say they believe in a wealth tax where the government would come into your home and take stuff from you, that's communism. That's confiscation. And I believe Ocasio-Cortez supports that. Sanders does. So I don't think Americans want that kind of oppressive government. Maybe 20, 25% do. And that's the crew that these people play for. But here's the rub. The corporate media loves those people, even though they're the biggest greedheads in the world. The corporate media, you can't get more greedy than them. It's all about money. I mean, they'll cut your throat, they'll cut my throat for money.
Absolutely.
The corporate media. But they like Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez. It's one of the great anomalies of all time. And so they get a free ride, these two. But the American people, you mentioned seizing your private property. I don't think they're going to get anywhere on that.
Before we get on out of here, Sunday, 3 Americans Live, you, me, Chris Cuomo. I know what you're hoping for. What should they expect?
Well, give me a lot of laughs, number one. It's going to be very funny. And then the Q&A with the audience, I think, is going to be the most fascinating part. So we're going to have the second half of the show, the audience at Westbury Music Fair. And again, you go to BillO'Reilly.com, you go to StephenASmith.com. We'll link you right over to the box office, or you go to Ticketmaster or call a theater. VIP sold out fast, so we put 15 more out. And then we're putting extra sections in too. So there's a big demand for the show at this point. But the Q&As are going to be fascinating about what the folks want to know from us. And they can direct a question to any of the three. So I'm looking forward to it. I just think it's going to be a 2-hour, 15-minute show that you'll remember the rest of your life. And the most important thing about the show is it's authentic. I would not do a show with phonies.
Neither would I.
So Cuomo and Stephen A., they're not phonies. Me, it's almost horrifying that I'm the way I am. So I think that the audience is going to get a bang for their buck and remember what they see.
I would like to state this for the record. I'm pretty impressed. The suit that you have on now looks pretty sharp. But you know you're going to have to do better Sunday, right? You're going to have to up your game and elevate your style to some degree. You do understand that, Bill O'Reilly, right? You do get that. Because my suit game is going to be tight.
I was down in Palm Beach this weekend. I bought a Brioni tie for the occasion. I had to trade in my car to buy it. But where do you see this tie? Okay, no matter what kind of pink jacket you show up with, what kind of little pocket hanky you have, it's not going to top this Brioni tie.
All right, man. I'll see you Sunday, buddy. It's good talking to you, man. Take it easy, Bill. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, Stephen A.
All right. Coming up, did y'all see the video in Juju Watkins, Jaden Daniels, and his mama this weekend? We'll get into that. Plus, I don't know about y'all, but my brackets are completely busted. Just trifling. I'm less than 30%. That's bad. We'll talk about the NCAA tournament and a tribute to the one and only George Foreman, boxing heavyweight champion extraordinaire. All that and more coming up right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Don't go away. What's up, everybody? Stephen A. Smith here. Recently, we made news because the great Bill O'Reilly announced a tour that's coming nearest you in the very, very near future. Get your tickets now for this. It's called 3 Americans, live March 30th at Live Nation's Flag Star at the Westbury Music Fair on Long Island. Don't miss the very first show as myself, Chris Cuomo, and yes, that man, Bill O'Reilly, take our different ideas, our different backgrounds, our different beliefs across the country to demonstrate that respectful, meaningful, and even fun conversation. Those are the things that make America as great as it should be. The show will be spirited, unscripted, and all three of us will let it fly as we discuss the topics everyone is thinking about these days. There'll also be questions from the audience. We're not running. Tickets are officially on sale now with pre-sale code USA at 3americanslive.com. VIP packages are available with the opportunity to meet and take photos with myself and both those fellas. That's 3 Americans Live, March 30th at the Westbury Music Fair on Long Island. Additional dates and cities to be announced. Don't miss it. Trust me, you'll get a kick out of it. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. Let's get to some quick hitters. We'll start in the National Football League, where Jameis Winston found a new home with the New York Giants. Jameis signed a 2-year deal, presumably to be the backup quarterback or bridge quarterback if the team goes after Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders in the upcoming NFL draft. The former number 1 overall pick is now on his 4th team, going from Tampa to New Orleans to Cleveland and now the New York Giants. He appeared on this show in February, and I asked him about his locker room demeanor. Take a listen to this exchange, please. You talked about being a black quarterback from Alabama, and you talked about essentially debunking stereotypes. In other words, you know what, they can't really throw, they're athletic, they can run with the football, etc. Did it ever occur to you that one of your biggest problems might be that you're not an asshole? That you're one of the nicest guys, you're smart, you're affable, you're pleasant to be around, you're not an asshole, you're not one of those truculent, acerbic individuals that's gonna be like, nah, hell with you, I don't give a damn who likes me. Did it ever occur to you that you might be too nice?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that might be the thing that's holding you back because you want to please everybody. Could that be it?
Yo, that's definitely it, man. Like for the beginning part of my career, I was in this people-pleasing business, man. Me and my dad used to go back and forth about, you don't got to prove none of these people, man. You just got to show up, win, and show out. But when I first got into this league, man, the aura that was around me was a negative aura, man. So I came into this league, man, trying to show people who I truly was, trying to show people that I'm not a bad guy. I'm not who you hear about me in the media. And that was outside of my element because you don't have to show nobody who you really are. You just be who you really are. But the youthfulness that I had, I thought that I had to do that. I thought that I had to be in the community all the time, making sure I show people like, man, I love my people, I love my community, I love my kids, you know. I thought I had to be up in my teammates' faces, talking about, man, like, come on, let's go, don't worry about that, we gonna get this, and that. But at the end of the day, being nice is a thing. I do believe that I'm called to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. I know my faith has brought me to where I'm at now. But I think you're exactly right, bro. I am too nice, man. I am too, I do focus a lot on other people's opinions more than my own self sometimes.
I'm not going to lie to you. I find it very, very difficult to imagine anybody who's watched Jameis Winston over the years as a person and not like the guy or love the guy. He seems like a really, really good person. Clearly had made mistakes in the past. We don't need to regurgitate that over these airwaves. And I think because of the trouble he found himself in college, coming out of college, coming into the National Football League, etc., I think it's one of those things where you look at him and it's easy to perceive that he was one of those individuals that wanted to make sure that people liked him. So there wasn't this incentive to denigrate him and criticize him and weigh too heavily on him. And sometimes you can have that as a part of your personality, and it could work to your detriment because you care so much about that you can't be the hard ass that you need to be in order to milk and soak production out of the people you need to produce in order for you to be successful. So certainly he got cut down on his interceptions because at least one year he threw 30 interceptions. He was an interception waiting to happen. And you got to cut down on that, make sure something like that doesn't happen again. He's got to cut down on those mistakes. But if you get around him, it's impossible, just impossible not to root for him. It really, really is. He's really a good guy. And so But being that good guy, I'm here to remind him, you can be a good guy and can be a hard ass too when cats around you ain't getting the job done. If you got to do your job, they got to do their job. And hopefully he takes that conversation we had to heart and he resembles that dude that doesn't give a damn. And by saying you don't give a damn, hell, I care. Everybody cares about something. But it can't be at the expense of the productivity you're mandated to put forth in order for you to extend or prolong your own damn career. You can't do that. You can't do that. And so I think Jameis Winston knows that. I hope he knows it. And when you got a cat like Neighbors to throw the ball to, that ain't a bad option. So let's keep that in mind. Wishing Jameis Winston nothing but the best. And Jameis, if you produce in New York, baby, it's Gotham City. It's different. I know they playing this East Rutherford, New Jersey near the Swamp. But damn it, it's the New York Giants. And that New York market, with your personality, is going to be waiting for you if you produce. They'll wait to tear you down if you fail. But if you produce with your personality, New York is going to love you. It's going to love you. Remember I said that, bro. Now let's get to the NCAA tournament. And I don't know about y'all, but my bracket is straight shot. It's garbage. Let's look at the Sweet 16 coming off this past weekend, okay? I mean, look, we just got to call it and say, you see it right there, y'all. 27.9% of my picks I got right. I mean, damn, that's just awful. That's just awful, okay? 17.2 million. That's what I rank in the ESPN bracket challenge. I mean, damn. Now, in my defense, I'm a very busy man. I might have seen about 5 or 6 college basketball games this year. I've spent far too much time watching NFL and NBA action and college football action to have time to watch college basketball. So I'm here to tell you, it's all guessing. It's all guessing, okay? And I can tell you this, I got Florida and Duke with meet for the national title, and I'm still alive with that. Everything else, I'm just guessing. I saw Florida this year. I saw Auburn this year. I saw Duke this year, okay? Just guessing. It was bad. It was bad. But I can live with it. Everybody see my staff, everybody, they feel good showing how embarrassing my bracket is. I mean, it makes them feel good, okay? Congratulations. You made the boss. You've embarrassed the boss. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy the moment. Quick hitter number 3 takes us to the NBA, where Steph Curry continues to make the impossible seem routine. Could y'all please check out this shot Steph made from the tunnel to the basket on the other side of the court? Look at this, y'all. Look at this. I mean, my Lord. That's Steph Curry. It's crazy. It's absolutely, positively crazy. I mean, look at that shot right there. This is the greatest shooter God has ever created. I mean, he's unreal. He's unreal. With a pelvic injury, out of the lineup, even though he's traveling with the team to Miami for their Tuesday night encounter. Let's hope that he's ready to play. You got to give respect and love where it's due and say what it is. That much I can tell you. I got to give him a lot of love for that, all right? So major props to the one and only Steph Curry, the greatest shooter God has ever created. We've got much more ahead on the Stephen A. Smith Show, including one man's morning routine that's going crazy on social media. But before we get to the break, I want to pay homage to the one and only George Foreman, who passed away last Friday at the age of 76. George Foreman was a gold medalist in the 1968 Olympics, who then went on to become a 2-time heavyweight champion in 2 different decades. Ladies and gentlemen, George Foreman is one of the greatest champions to have ever lived. I know Ali beat him in the Rumble in the Jungle. I know he lost to Ali in Kinshasa, Zaire. They bring up names like Ron Lyle and Ernie Shavers and all of these guys. I don't know of anybody who hit harder than George Foreman. I really, really don't. I've oftentimes found myself asking Mike Tyson in his heyday or George Foreman prior to the Ali fight, who was the most menacing heavyweight boxer in history? Ladies and gentlemen, when Ali, true story, when Ali was about to fight George Foreman, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. Allie was about to fight George Foreman. And I'm living in Hollis, Queens, New York City. And my father was crying. He thought Ali was going to die. That's how fearsome George Foreman was. And I just think that we just need to put things in its proper perspective and understand who this man is that we're talking about here. Muhammad Ali, in October of 1974, reclaims the heavyweight championship of the world after beating George Foreman, who had knocked out Joe Frazier. Foreman would go on to lose a decision to Jimmy Young in 77 and then retire. You know, for a while he'd come back. I mean, I'm just looking at him. He retired for 10 years, came back in 87 and ultimately fought. And, you know, at the age of 46, if I remember correctly, he had beaten Michael Moore to capture the heavyweight championship, of the world at age 46. And I never forget that call by Jim Lampley. It happened! It was unbelievable. George Foreman is one of the heaviest punchers, one of the most menacing figures in boxing history. I had the pleasure of interviewing him one time when he came on my show, quite frankly, on ESPN2. But I remember what broke his heart was something similar to what broke Joe Frazier's heart, because when he was fighting Ali and over there in Zaire, he was like, hey, you know, I'm black too. I'm a brother too. And these people don't give a damn. They love Ali so much they can't stand me. And when he lost, he was so embarrassed. He was more embarrassed than hurt, because even though Ali was obviously an elite boxer and obviously had his own share of power, Ali outsmarted him. The rope-a-dope he implemented, wore George Foreman out, and George Foreman was so exhausted that once Ali dropped him, he was too damn tired to get up before the 10 count. That's what happened. And that's how he lost the fight. But when I think about George Foreman, I always ask myself would he have beaten Tyson? He could have knocked out Tyson easily, but Tyson obviously is Tyson, you know, so you just never know. But I think George Foreman would have taken him. Nevertheless, he went on George Foreman Grill, made hundreds of millions of dollars with that perpetual smile, cheesing for the camera and stuff like that. Turned himself from one of the most menacing, if not the most menacing boxer in history to a pitchman. Unbelievable. What can you say? So I know I'm going to miss him. He did a great, great job working with Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant, calling boxing matches for HBO. He obviously was a great fighter, and he accomplished a lot in life. And so my condolences to him and his family. On behalf of myself and the entire boxing world, we all know we lost a great one. George Foreman, gone at the age of 76. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. Now, before we get to your tweets, I want to show y'all some interesting clips that were blowing up social media. Did y'all see the video of USC's Juju Watkins and Washington Commanders NFL quarterback Jaden Daniels sitting together before her tournament game? Many people began speculating about their relationship. Now, that's none of my business, but it appears Mama Daniels wanted to break up the party before rumors got started. Jaden's mama was later seen sitting between the two star athletes, okay? Again, none of my business, but it sure drew some headlines. Let me say this. He's a young man. Mama's looking out for him. I get that part. But let me talk to Mama for a second here, you know. Mama Daniels, you know I got love for you, you know. Had the pleasure of meeting you. Of course, your son is big time the whole bit. Got something to tell you. I don't want to be the deliverer of bad news. Because I'm not saying anything's going on with him. I'm not saying that. I don't know. But here's what I do know. Mama If Jaden Daniels want to do something, you're not going to be able to stop him. I know that's something a parent doesn't like to hear. Damn it, I don't like imagining it. I'm a parent. But if they want to do something bad enough, they will. If they want to get to know one another bad enough, they will. That's just the way it goes. And if Jaden, a phenomenal athlete and a, flourishing star in the National Football League, is interested in somebody, he could do a lot worse than Juju Watkins, who's a star in her own right. So rather than sitting between them, mama, maybe you should pull them close together and then sit nearby. Just a suggestion. Just a suggestion. Now, this next subject is a sensitive topic because it involves somebody's hairline and their attempt to try and hide an obvious retreat. Check out these images of Liberty head coach Richie McKay from the weekend. Here he is talking to a reporter, and fans couldn't help but notice McKay's attempt to hide his receding hairline by painting over it. I'm not going to fall for this. It would absolutely, positively be a walking piece of hypocrisy for me to open my mouth about somebody's hairline. I am fully aware of this. I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it. To me, y'all, it shouldn't be his hairline that y'all going off about. The brother 59 years old. I mean, he got a hairline that rivals LeBron James, and LeBron James just turned 40. It shouldn't be about the hairline. The issue is what's up with the vampire, stuff at on both ends, looking like Strom. Was it Strom? Was it? Was it Tom Cruise and the vampire stuff? Looking like your hairdo, looking like horns. What the hell is that? Stroking Dracula, whatever the hell it was. Okay, that to me is what y'all should be talking about. The fact that he used some stuff in his hair, I mean, please, that's what people do. And ladies, y'all don't need to be talking. You remember what Chris Rock said about y'all, right? He said, what the hell? You remember that joke that Chris Rock told years ago when he was doing stand-up comedy? He used to tell that joke years ago. He said, you women out there lying all the time. He said, you wearing heels, you ain't that tall. Those extensions, your hair ain't that long. He said, look, your eyes, you the context in it. Your eyes ain't that color. You understand? Everything is about you. Everything about you is lying. And you want me to tell the truth? Hell with you. That was Chris Rock, not me. And he didn't use those words. He was far more acerbic. I'm not going to do that. All I'm saying is cut the brother some slack. Women do things to embellish themselves all the time. What's wrong when the fellas do it? Again, he could get rid of those horns at the top of his head. But everything else, he's approaching 60, y'all. He's approaching 60. Leave that man alone. Leave that man alone. Liberty just had a successful season, got to the NCAA Tournament. Leave that man alone. And finally, I want y'all to see this tweet called The Morning Routine, which has nearly 674 million views. It's from the X account, Tips for Men. Look at what this brother's doing. And please tell me why nearly 674 million people are into this video. I'm asking a rhetorical question because how much you want to make a bet that the 674 million, about 95% of them are women? Because you want your man to have a body like that. You know, see, I'm not going to disrespect the brother. The brother's in shape. Now, I don't see nothing he's doing from a conditioning standpoint. He's just working on it, so, doing his morning routine, but he ain't showing what actual workout routine he's doing. But clearly the brother's in the gym a lot. Give him credit where credit is due. Now, I don't want to be that big, but I'd like to be a little bigger. Now, there he is running. Get a man some credit where it's due. I don't know if his socks need to be pulled up that high. That's just me. But the brother's in shape. He's swimming. He's running. He's working on himself. Get a man credit where credit is due. Don't hate on him. 674 million people are watching. I think at least 600 million of them are women. And the men who are watching, it's because we like, yo, bro, got some tips? Give a brother some tips? Get in that kind of shape? That's all we doing. Don't hate. Appreciate. Now let's get to your tweets. The first couple go hand in hand with that video you just saw. Stephen A. Smith, this is at Who's Breezy UK. Stephen A. Smith, can you recreate this picture? Yes, I can, because you ain't asking me to swim. You're just asking me to dive into the water and show myself diving into water. Now, I ain't going to look that thick, that big, because I'm not that size. But could I replicate that scene? You know, a slim version of that, diving into the pool? Sure, I can. Now, if you ask me to swim like he was swimming, different matter altogether. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Next tweet. Show it to me, please. At Henry the Blasian, B-L-A-S-I-A-N, right? Stephen A. Smith, what's your morning routine? I get up between 6:30 and 7 a.m. because once I'm up, I don't usually take naps. So I'm up until approximately 1 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock the next morning. I get 4 to 5 hours, like 5 to 6 hours sleep a night. I could do a little bit better than that. My morning routine is I get up. First thing I do is pray and thank my Heavenly Father that I live to see another day. Second thing I try to do, unless my elbows are hurting on my push-ups, but before the push-ups, I drink some water. And I drink some water to sort of clear my head and stuff like that, make sure I got some liquid in me. Get down to about 100 push-ups each morning. When my elbows, again, are feeling healthy. When they're hurting, not as much. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. I try to get a banana in me, some potassium, a little fuel. I do that. And then about 4 times a week, I'll get on a Peloton for about a half hour, do a little lifting. When I'm home, I'll get my cold plunge. When I'm not, I'll get down and I'll do a little bit more sit-ups. And then after that, I do my morning call and get ready for the day. And I do my research for my show, and then I get ready to go. Got my blood flowing, got my blood circulating, wake myself up, ready to go. Getting a little workout like I just described, just to get things going. Do my morning meeting and then do my research and make sure that when it's time for airtime, when the lights come on, your brother's ready. It's just that simple. Hope that helps. Then, all right? 2 more to go before I let you get on out of here. Show me the next tweet. At Zeno Mike 4, right? Stephen A. Smith, at 7 feet, 221 pounds, with the DNA of the strongest fighters, could Perfect Cell beat prime Michael Jordan in a game of 21? Perfect balls either. I'm not picking against Michael Jordan. I'm just not. I don't give a damn who you are. Because as John Sally said in The Last Dance, we had to get him before he was airborne because he wasn't human, It's Michael Jordan. I'm not going against that. I'm going to say no. I'm going to pick Michael Jordan because to me he was a damn superhero. That's just how I felt about him. Last tweet, what you got? At Cantaloupe _FF, right? Stephen A. Smith, if there were giraffe centaurs? If there were giraffe centaurs, would they look like the left or like the right? I think it would look like the left. When I was in front of a giraffe, that's how it looked. I would go with the left as opposed to the right, personally. I think the right is a bit muscular. I don't see giraffes as being that way, so I would have to go against that kind of thinking. That's how I'm rolling with it, all right? That's it for this edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Hope y'all enjoyed it immensely as much as I did, because I know I did. Thank y'all for joining the show. Thanks again to the one and only Bill O'Reilly for coming on the show and blessing us with his presence. Look forward to talking to y'all in the next couple of days. Remember, tomorrow's edition, special edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, I'm sitting down one-on-one with Mr. Ben Shapiro, noted conservative pundit and host, owner for the Daily Wire and all of that stuff. Called me a jackass. Well, we're going to have that conversation, man to man. Let's see if he does it then. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this is Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love, everybody.